It's time to break the rules. In today's video, I'm going to give you permission to ignore these 10 popular interior design rules. You'll learn why these sacred rules aren't for everyone and what I recommend instead. Hi everyone, if you're new here, I'm Ashley. I'm your virtual paint color consultant and decorator, and my job is to help you design a home you love. Before I talk about the rules that you can break and why you can break those, I wanted to show you guys what we're having for dinner, and I want to thank Home Chef for sponsoring today's video. Home Chef is a weekly subscription service delivering fresh ingredients and easy to follow recipes straight to your home. They are a great option for busy lifestyles with quick meal options like oven ready 15-minute meals and fast and fresh. Home Chef makes weeknight dinners effortless. I used Home Chef after the birth of my first child many years ago because I loved the idea of little mess, quick cleanup, thanks to minimal pans being dirty and minimal planning on my part. Guys, these meals are so easy to throw together and they're super delicious. In a recent third-party survey, users of leading meal kits agree that Home Chef is #1 in recipe ease. So one of the things I love about Home Chef is the simplicity of meals and the fast prep time. We usually try to get the protein-packed meals, but there's all kinds of options. You can get vegetarian and calorie-conscious meals. You can do things like swap your proteins, including salmon and impossible meat, to fit your dietary preferences. So there are so many different options. Okay, so I wanted to keep things simple this week because I don't have a lot of time this week, so I went with all oven-ready meals, which I'm so excited about. But we're gonna have loaded pork loaf, effortless sirloin with rosemary, bacon, butter, sounds good, and beer garden chicken. I want to thank Home Chef for sponsoring this video. You can head to the link in my description below to get 50% off and free shipping on your first box with code HOME50. Ceiling fans have really been hated in the interior design world forever, and while I do agree that a lot of ceiling fans are somewhat unsightly, it's pretty silly, I think, to tell homeowners just never to use them. I know I personally couldn't sleep if I didn't have a ceiling fan circulating the air in my room, and I know that a lot of others, especially in warmer climates, feel the same way. So here's what I'll tell you. Shop for a ceiling fan that doesn't have a light. When you find those ceiling fans that have the lights, that's when they look a little too clunky. They kind of look a little too bulky on your ceiling. Not to mention the fact that you should be using task lighting and accent lighting to light your space anyway. You don't need that overhead light. Look for one that blends into your ceiling nicely, one that doesn't stand out and make a huge statement, because oftentimes you don't really want to highlight the ceiling fan. But I do not think you should get rid of the ceiling fan. Just look for one that's a little bit sleeker and you'll be happy with the form and the function. No furniture on the wall. That is probably a design rule that absolutely everyone has heard. It has been circulated many, many times. I really think this rule only applies to those that live in substantially large houses that have very spacious rooms. Because if you live in a normal size house, it's pretty hard to follow this rule 100% of the time. So here's my advice. Here's how to make this rule work if you live in a normal or average size home. It's likely that you're going to have to put at least one piece of furniture up against the wall. That's okay. What you don't want is to put all of the pieces of furniture up against the wall. You want to pull those side chairs in the room to create that nice conversational look. I'm going to show you kind of what not to do and what to do, and you'll notice the difference it makes in the space. I also find that pulling your couch just off the wall a few inches makes a huge difference as well. So if you have the space to spare, I would recommend that too. So when you're just starting out and you have a limited budget for decor like most of us, it can be pretty daunting to fill a home with art and coming up with the budget to do that. If you're like a lot of us home decor lovers and you've probably watched a lot of beautiful home tours, especially on YouTube, by designers, you know that they spend a lot of time talking about their extensive art collection. So here's the thing though. Curating an art collection like that to fill your entire home with original pieces of art is going to cost you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to really fill out the walls in your entire home. Some art is better than no art, and here's how to do that inexpensively and affordably. The best tip that I have for you is to go to antique stores to find original art. Just last week, I was in an antique store, one of my favorites in our town, and I was not searching for anything in particular, because that's how you have to go into an antique store. Something that speaks to you is what you should grab. But I found a piece of art, and I can't remember the exact dimensions. It was at least 24 inches wide. Beautiful frame, had these gorgeous blue and green colors. I loved the scene. I'm going to use it as my starting or my jumping off piece for my bedroom makeover that I'm working on right now. That piece was $150. It was an original oil painting. You cannot beat that price. So antique stores, first and foremost, step into those and shop those often if you're looking for original pieces of art. Okay, another thing that I'll say is most cities have local artist guilds, and they host shows many times throughout the year. You need to go to those shows. I promise you will find something that you love, and it will be much more affordable than purchasing art at a large gallery. Another thing that you can do is identify an artist that you really like and see if they offer prints. Prints are a great way to get affordable and unique art into your house without breaking the bank. Lastly, no matter where you get your art, you absolutely want to frame it. That is what brings the piece to life and gives your space so much character. Now, if you were to walk into Michael's or Hobby Lobby, framing a piece of art is very expensive, and it's always deterred me from doing so until I discovered Etsy has very affordable custom frames, also Jerry's Artarama, and I will put the links of those below. But do not overlook framing your art. It makes such a huge difference. Most homes that you're going to see in magazines or on TV have these gorgeous, expansive 9, 10, 11-foot ceilings, vaulted ceilings. New construction homes all have at least a minimum of a 9-foot ceiling, but if you live in an older home like a lot of us, you are stuck with 7.5 or 8-foot ceilings. You might be left feeling like you absolutely can't do anything with your space because your ceiling is just blah and it just brings everything down. I am here to tell you that's not the case, and there are so many ways that you can trick the eye into thinking that your ceiling is much higher than it actually is. The first one that I love to tell people about, and it's pretty inexpensive and DIY friendly, is vertical board and batten. It just kind of brings the eye up and gives the illusion that your ceiling is much taller than it is. The second one that I will tell you is to paint your walls and your ceiling the same color so that there's no break for the eye. Again, it's just going to draw the eye up, give that illusion that your ceiling is much taller. Another thing that I always recommend, if you have the budget, take your cabinetry to the ceiling. Again, it's going to draw the eye up. And then lastly, I will tell you, drapes not only soften the space, but they bring the eye up. You want to hang them no less than 2 to 3 inches below the ceiling to give that expansive, full look and draw that eye up. Make people think your ceilings are 9 feet. If you are scrolling Pinterest, looking on Houzz, opening up a magazine, you'll notice that the appliances are hidden from the kitchen. You can't find them. They're either tucked away in butlers' pantries or sculleries, or they are hidden with panel-ready appliances. Okay, so here's the thing. Most of us don't have this space or the money to quietly tuck all of our appliances away. You expect to see a fridge in a kitchen. You expect to see a coffee maker. You expect to see a microwave. We cannot forget what the kitchen is for because we're so obsessed with creating and curating this gorgeous kitchen that is magazine worthy. Now, I will say with a fridge, something very simple that you can do is to make your fridge look more integrated by customizing the cabinetry around it so that it does look inset in the cabinets. That's something you can do. Another thing that you can do if you're designing a new kitchen, tuck away some lesser used appliances in cabinetry that rest on your countertops. That's a great way to kind of declutter your kitchen. But things that you use every day on a daily basis, keep those out. Let's not forget about what a kitchen is for. Many designers absolutely despise can lights and they advocate for never installing them at all. I have to say, if you are building a new home, I would agree, skip the can lights. Other than the kitchen, you don't need them. What you need instead is a really pretty layered lighting plan to give you that nice warm glow in your spaces. However, in a kitchen, especially those of us that have those 8-foot ceilings where pendant lights are going to kind of hinder the view, or they're going to be a little too squatty because you have to keep them up so high, can lights are necessary. Now, the alternative to can lights are those really pretty flush mount lights, and I think those are a great idea. However, what I will say about those is sometimes when you put several of them in a space, they start to look a little too busy. So in a kitchen, build a layered lighting plan. So this might mean cans, this might mean pendants as well, some decorative lighting, maybe some task lighting. I love to add in 1 or 2 lamps on your kitchen counters instead of under cabinet lighting. I think it's a much better, much warmer glow. And then maybe some accent lighting in the form of sconces. So think about that when you are building a layered lighting plan, especially in the kitchen. I think can lights are perfectly acceptable if you're building a new home. Maybe skip the can lights in other places and really work on your lighting plan. Now, you may have heard that the suggestion for rugs is to find a rug that is large enough to comfortably place all 4 legs of your furniture on the rug. That advice, again, is great if you have a very spacious house with large, spacious rooms. For those of us that have average size rooms or even in a narrow room, finding a rug that's going to fit all 4 legs of your furniture not only costs you a fortune, but it also is going to be a little too large for the space to where the rug is going to spill out into traffic areas. That's just going to end up looking awkward. Here's my advice for this. If you live in an average size house, what you should do is aim to have the front 2 legs of each piece of furniture fit comfortably under the rug, and they might go back about 5-6 inches, and that's going to comfortably fill your room. Now, another tip that I have for you to stretch your rug budget is to look for a rug that is made out of sisal or jute. Those are more expensive than wool rugs, and they're still going to give you that nice warmth to your space and help pull together your rooms. I am not sure where the decorating phenomenon of adding a pop of color to finish off a room really comes from. I think it probably arrived on the scene the same time the accent wall really kind of started to pick up steam. Here's the thing though, if you want to decorate with color and you're just doing it by adding that pop of color, it's gonna fall flat. You really need a cohesive color plan for your room, and the easiest way to do that is to come up with a starting point. A lot of times it's a rug, it's drapes, or it's artwork. Those are the easiest. You extract the colors from that piece and then you're going to repeat it in various sizes throughout the room. It is not enough just to pull color from a rug or a piece of artwork and just repeat it one teeny tiny little time. You want to repeat it meaningfully throughout the room for your largest impact. So what I like to say, if you want to decorate with color, you need to go all in. You need to make a cohesive color plan so that your room doesn't fall flat. Contrary to popular belief, small rooms are the perfect space to go bold with color. You can wrap the color all on the walls, the trim, the ceiling, so that the eye never breaks, and that actually makes the room feel larger. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with painting small rooms a pale neutral, but that's not what you need to do just because you have a small room. You shouldn't feel limited color-wise because of the size of your room. And in fact, I like to have fun in those smaller rooms. Add the bold color. That's where you can really do something unique. It is a very, very common practice, especially with my clients. They will come to me and they'll say, I have very limited lighting in this room, so I want a white or an off-white. And here's what I'll tell you and what I tell them. When you paint your room that doesn't have a lot of natural light, a white or an off-white, you are left with a wall color that looks very dingy. It looks very uninviting, not very warm at all. What you want to do in rooms that have not a lot of natural light is go a little bit darker so you're in that pale neutral range. If you don't know what these are, I do have an ebook that has all of my favorite neutral colors, and you can kind of get a sampling of those in that ebook, and I'll put the link below. And then of course the way to kind of make those rooms come alive that don't have a lot of natural light, and really this applies to every single light, is to layer your lighting. You want several lamps in that room for that nice, warm, even glow. So That wraps up this video. I hope you learned something. I hope that you are a little bit more comfortable breaking some of these popular design rules. And if you want, in the comments below, I'd love to hear about the rules that you've broken in your house. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone.